Okay, good evening, everybody at home. Bit of a different podcast tonight. It's not really a podcast, but me and Tom just wanted to come out tonight and sort of speak about the very, very sad news today of the late, great John Virgo passing away at the age of 79. We honestly are heartbroken. Certainly, me and Tom are. I know there's so many people out there, people that have got in touch with us too as well, about today's news, and we just wanted to really have a little chat, didn't we? I suppose reminisce a little bit, cheer each other up, and obviously chat to you guys as well. But yeah, obviously, Tom. Probably the biggest shock that we'll have for a long time, I think. It seemed to sort of come out of nowhere, this news today.
Yeah, I think what especially makes it hard to process is obviously how recently JV was on commentary for the Masters. You know, it's a little over 2 weeks ago. He was commentating on a Triple Crown final. And seemed to be in good voice. You presume that means, okay, he was in decent enough health. And so I think, we were saying before we went live that someone of that age passing isn't always necessarily you're not going to go, he was really young or whatever. But because he was still working 2 weeks ago and obviously still traveling from Spain to the UK and things like that, you just felt like, he must be doing all right. And
yeah.
And so I think, especially because of that, it's a huge shock, but also it's befitting of the man that, he's worked in the sport, been a professional in the sport for 50 years, and his last involvement was a Triple Crown final just before he passed. And I think in the story of John Virgo, there could be nothing greater than that, which really shows what a legend he is in the sport.
Absolutely, and it is amazing that he was still working and still front and center of the BBC sort of snooker team and the commentary team, and I think what had been really nice over the last few years, I think since him and Dennis sort of came out and said that they felt that they were being pushed out, I think lots of people sort of got behind them, and particularly John Virgo, and said, they think he is the voice of snooker now. I
did wonder where you were going there, where you said since he and Dennis came out, and I was like, I'll ship that.
Yeah, we know they're a great partnership in the commentary box. So, yeah, he has become the voice of snooker. I think he got better and better with age. His dry humour in the commentary box, his knowledge was second to none, and there'll be nobody that can ever replace his ability to know the sort of moment to raise his voice in the commentary box, raise his level as the tension grows, and nobody can replace that ever. And I'm just so thankful, I guess, that we got to listen to so many years of it. We will have so many memories of that.
Yeah, and it's the thing that shows how good he was, the fact he was still the lead commentator on a Triple Crown final at the age of 79. And the fact he was still there is just because he's the best at it. He still is the best, and it's going to be a massive hole in the commentary and the coverage and the character of the sport, I think, going forward. One thing that does make me, I was just thinking today, it makes me really glad that we, started this podcast a few years ago, because we've had so many funny, silly moments to do with John Virgo on the podcast, and it won't, it won't feel the same talking about those things now, I think. But I'm glad we've got a record of us making silly jokes about, dressing up as JV or, just silly ideas. What I've actually got, Joe, I've got right here my John Virgo waistcoat.
Wow.
My John Virgo. why else would I get a waistcoat by anyone else? I've not tried microphone, but you can see there's little. Can you see there? There's little
Oh, yes.
red, yellow, green, blue, pink,
I love it.
black. There's little
Look at
little
that.
things there, and like no one else in the world would make me buy a waistcoat. To be completely honest, I don't really wear
Well,
waistcoats, but
I
JV, I was like, no, I'll buy that.
I tell you what, Tom. Now that you've shown off that waistcoat, you might well have persuaded some of our chat to go and buy that. So, so there
One of
you
the
go.
comments saying
You could be
fine
the
tribute.
second.
Someone
Yes,
said a
there
fine
you
tribute to the great man. There we go. That's what he would have wanted, is me to wear his waistcoat.
And Tom, how have we got this far into the podcast without coining his special catchphrase? What was it, Tom?
Where's the cue ball going?
Well, it's right here, Tom.
Hey!
Right here.
Look at that.
He spent all his life looking for the cue ball, and it was here all along. So yeah, this was my purchase from the Crucible last year. Ronnie O'Sullivan shop. John Virgo cue ball, which, you know, a very, very special part of the collection. That so I thought I'd bring it along tonight, as well as your wonderful gift to me for Christmas this year, Tom, of the John Virgo poster, which you know, well, I'll always have that. Now this will be shooting up in value now.
Yes, and we don't respect that practice. I don't like it when things like that happen. It annoys me. But
yeah,
this waistcoat now will be worth about £200 probably.
Well, now you've worn it, definitely. So.
Yep.
Yeah. So good evening, everybody. By the way, in the chat, do let us know your memories of John Virgo in the chat. This is what it's about. You know, people sort of sharing their memories. It's not meant to be a sort of a sad retrospective, and equally, it's not going to be our preview, our tribute podcast. Not preview. We're not previewing anything. It's not our tribute podcast either. We are going to do a special John Virgo episode, and once sort of the dust has settled, I think is what you the way you put it before, Tom, and certainly in the build up to this year's World Championship, where he will be a massive miss. It will never be the same without John, and we want to sort of pay our respects in ways that we can, being silly probably, and finding his great quotes from World Snooker Championship 2011. But do let us know your memories and sort of how you're feeling. I mean, how did you find out the news, Tom?
Literally, I turned it on my phone when I woke up, and I'd had maybe 4 or 5 messages from friends saying, "I'm really sorry about John Virgo," and the only time I've had that before where a celebrity dies and I've had so many people get in touch was Michael Jackson. And
Wow.
I think that probably shows the level of icon that John Virgo was in the snooker world, and how many people knew how beloved he was, and what an absolute star he was on and off the table. Like, I don't think there's going to be anyone else who's ever going to have the same impact he had in terms of a Triple Crown winner, and then obviously TV presenter, commentator. He would do exhibitions. He had a number of DVDs and videos of just him telling jokes and doing trick shots. And it's a cliche. People say there's not characters like that anymore, but genuinely in snooker there isn't someone who's like that. None of the young players have the same charisma. Even Ronnie, I don't think, has the same twinkle. Ronnie's got charisma, but I don't think he's got the same warm twinkle as JV had.
Yeah, and just born entertainer, isn't he? Somebody that was most comfortable, I suppose, with a microphone in his hand and in front of people, making people laugh, making people smile, and sort of making you feel welcome, I guess. That's going to be one of my big memories of him. And It is weird. It just feels like we've lost a family member, doesn't it? That's
Mm.
it does sound really like over the top, but this guy has been part of our lives for so many years, and we've listened to him and felt like we've shared those moments with him, and I think that's how great he was, is that he was able to make you feel like you were watching the snooker with him. And I guess that's what I'll miss about him. And yeah, I mean, it was one of those where I sort of was scrolling on my phone. I was at work actually. I wasn't teaching at the time, and I sort of just scrolled on my phone, and I just went past it, and I thought, oh my god. And then it's one of those where you search and search to try and find that it's not true.
Yeah.
That's how I felt, at least. And yeah, I know other people will have felt like that as well. Toby in the chat saying it all started with the PS2 games for him. Some iconic lines in those games. Not sure he said in real life. Did he ever lose his pen in the commentary box? Who knows? Who knows? He certainly lost the cue ball a few times, didn't he? Captain Wanta's Sesame Cake said, I found out this morning when I woke up to watch the evening session. So, of course, there's snooker going on at the minute with the World Grand Prix. Ronnie had just been playing a match when this news broke. Ian Cork was saying he met him in Cork. Well, there you go. Fancy that. 6 or 7 years ago, doing an exhibition with Ronnie and Mark Allen. I'm gutted he had a way of letting me escape from reality for a couple of years. Yeah, a lot of people who got to meet him with nothing but good things to say. Yeah, absolutely. And the sort of sea of tributes from not just the snooker world, the sporting world. It was one of the top stories on the BBC, which is saying something with how much is going on in the world at the minute of just what a legend he is and was.
Yeah, to have a career presenting snooker and commentate on snooker and Big Break, and to do all those things on the BBC, obviously for 40 years as a commentator, as a presenter, and to still obviously be in the job, even when there's been at least a couple of times where it looked like he was going to be out of a job, and now we're just so grateful that we've had these last few years with him in the job. But to keep that job for so long, you've got to be A, very good at it, and B, you've got to be good to work with. So I think that sums up the man, really. And it's just, I think a lot of people feel the same. I don't feel like it's sunk in yet. It's not going to probably feel like it's sunk in until the Worlds, when he's not there, and that's when I think it'll really hit me, and I'll just be sad.
Yeah, well, absolutely. I think the first time that he would have been working again was the Welsh Open. Over the last few years, John and Dennis have commentated on the Welsh Open together. So yeah, it'll be a massive miss there. But as you say, the World Championship, and particularly the final, that final session is made for somebody like John Virgo. So it will feel weird. It'll feel sad. But one thing I am looking forward to is the BBC's tribute and the BBC's team tribute to them. Steve Davis, John Parrott, Dennis Taylor, all coming together. Hazel to reflect. I think that'll be really, really powerful, and it'll be not a dry eye in the house, I would suspect, when that happens.
No, I would definitely be crying. I'm certain of that. So what else? So Captain Wanta's Sesame Cake says, I hope they rename the UK trophy after him like they did to the English Open with Clive. That'd be a lovely touch. It's always a shame. I think they'd seem to do this after people have passed. It's a bit of a shame, obviously, not with Stephen Hendry, but with most other people. But I think that would be a great tribute.
I think they have to name the World Championship after Dennis, and they have to name the UK Championship after John. I think that would be perfect.
Mm-hmm. And they have to name a parrot after John Parrott. Hey boys, Theon here. I was in the middle of a geography exam when I found out. I went to the bathroom and checked my phone. You're in the
Oh,
middle of a
hey, you're not
geography
meant to
exam?
do that.
No, I mean that's Joe's a teacher.
Cheat.
You should have said that here. You're gonna get in trouble, mate.
Yeah,
Brian
absolutely. Cheat.
McGovern. Okay, so Brian McGovern was at an exhibition with John, Dennis, and Ken at an exhibition in Navan in Ireland. It was a great night. I remember him on commentary for the Crucible Pigeon episode.
Yes. Catch the pigeon.
Hmm.
Yeah. Oh,
Where's the
just a
where's the pigeon?
rebranded Mr. Dog. There you go.
Oh,
Captain Wanta's sesame cake is Mr. Dog.
unbelievable. He's got an alter ego. Crazy stuff. And Toby
Um,
did say, "Where's the pigeon going?" earlier on, which was
he did.
a lovely quote when he said that,
It
and it
was.
always makes me laugh.
Absolutely. And you know, it is just, it was those moments that are irreplaceable. Sort of anybody can commentate on the action, but not many people can commentate on those moments. And make light of it. And many people will try, but there's very few that can pull it off. But yeah, Mark Bennett has said as well, rest in peace to John Virgo, best commentator in snooker. Not many 1970s stars left now. Dennis Taylor, Cliff Thorburn, Steve Davis, I guess as well could be said. But it adds to a real loss that we've had over the last few years. Ray Reardon, Terry Griffiths, obviously the great Willie Thorne as well, a few years back. So, it is a real shame that we are starting to lose these characters who had such a big sort of say in how the sport developed. And to be honest, it's the reason why we're sat here now talking about it, isn't it? Are these great characters. So, yeah.
Well, I think the wonderful thing, especially with John Virgo, was that he transcended snooker with stuff like Big Break and
Yeah.
with stuff he
Which we
did.
haven't even talked about yet.
Well, I mean, with Big Break and with also he would do trick shots and exhibitions, and all of those were him as you say, as an all-round entertainer. And part of the reason he could do that was he had great comic timing. He had very good comic sensibilities that aren't easy to pick up, and not every person could do that. As much as we love someone like a Stuart Bingham, I don't know whether he would be as quick or witty as a JV would be. No disrespect, Stuart, if you're watching. But it's that thing where he just had that timing and that glint in his eye and that showmanship. Like the impressions as well, all that stuff.
Yeah,
it was just,
of course.
he was aware that he wasn't just a player but an entertainer, and that's definitely something that is no longer prominent in the game nowadays, I would say, and it's the worse for it.
Absolutely. And what I hope it does do is sort of make us appreciate the people that are there, and enjoy them for however long left we have of some of the greats, because none of them are getting younger. Even me and you, Tom, are not getting younger. There will be a time where we grow old, and I guess we just have to enjoy every minute while it lasts, because we had no inkling at all that was going to be the last commentary we ever heard. John Virgo with the final line of the Masters, congratulating Kyron Wilson on becoming the Master, as it was. And I think little did we think 17 days later we'd be talking about the fact he's not here anymore, and that's just crazy.
Yeah, because what he'd said to Neil Robertson, I'll see you in April with the Crucible. So we can't speculate on what happened, but it feels like it must be something that must have been quite sudden or quite shocking. So it has just been a very shocking day. And Chris Reed has a lovely comment here. He says, "It feels a very close and personal loss, I'm sure, for all of us, because John would make it feel like you were sat next to him in conversation whenever you turned on the TV and heard his voice." And I think that's perfect, because it is, as you said, like losing a member of the family, just because there's very, very few people in my life whose voice I've listened to more than John Virgo's. from all the hours I spend watching snooker or
Yeah.
playing video games or watching nonsense on YouTube, there's very
Yeah.
few people's voice who's gone around my head as much as he has. And so it does feel like a huge loss because you're like, God, we're never going to hear that again
I
live. And
know.
that's really
Yeah.
sad.
But I guess that is, one of the real special things that we've got now is something like YouTube where we can go and relive all of those memories. And, we uploaded last year the commentators' classic shots, which John was a big part of that. And I think that's something we've wanted to do is sort of archive a lot of these things and make sure that people have got a place to enjoy them for not just now but years into the future. And of course we'll forever have the intro video that he does for us, saying the lyrics to Snooker Loopy. So we have got great ways to that he will live on forever, certainly with us, and I'm sure many people at home feel the same way.
Yeah, it's one thing I'm very sad at is that we never got to chat to him. We never got him on the podcast or anything like that. I think we both did reach out in sort of different ways, but I think it's so hard when someone is actually this level of famous and this level of, frankly, busy. Like, it's really hard to get those people on to a little podcast that doesn't have a big budget and doesn't have a big producer. So we did. At least I'm happy we did try. That we did try and reach out to him. It's not
doesn't
like I'm
have a
sitting
big
here.
producer, Tom. It's me and you.
No, well, exactly. We're not on BBC or ITV. It's just an independent thing. But I'm glad that I'm sat here going. We at least tried. If I was sat here and we hadn't, I'd be like, oh, we should have. But we did try and reach out, but it didn't work out. But I'm still glad that we got him singing Snooker Loopy. That's something that
well, it's something we've not managed to get Stephen Hendry doing yet. So come on, Stephen. Hurry up.
Come on, Steve.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, I guess it also gives us the kick up the backside as well to sort of redouble our efforts to get some of these people on and talk to them. And, last year we talked a lot about going to the 40th anniversary with Steve Davis and Dennis, which of course was emceed by John Virgo. So, that's something I've thought about today and thought, I regret not going to that now, because that would have been an incredible memory. But I actually saw an interview with Ali Carter. It's one of the few interviews I've actually watched of somebody speaking about what's happened today, and he sort of said he was shook to the core by it, and it sort of showed him how short life is, and that we've got to make the most of it, and make the most of people while they're still here with us. And that sort of really rang true with me. And me and Ali Carter, he doesn't know it, but we don't see eye to eye all of the time. But I think that will be resonating with everybody, really, because it is such a shock. I like that. Mr. Dog saying, "Yeah, Stephen, you grump."
Odyssey 225 says, I think this is the first person to pass in snooker since I started following that I've actually felt a connection to. I never had the chance to experience the likes of Reardon or Clive Everton. And yeah, I would agree. All the people who have passed, most of them have been before my time. I was sad about Willie Fawn because I had heard him on commentary and I quite liked him on commentary, but JV is the first big one where he was such a part of why I loved snooker and such a part of all of it.
I think, certainly on this podcast, John and Dennis have their own sort of god tier, don't they, in our hearts of affection, and I guess Hazel would be right up there as well. To lose a part of that is huge, and that thankfully doesn't happen very often. Matt from Borough, he messaged me earlier on today, and he was saying how gutted he was, and one of the first things he said was, "We need to wrap Dennis in bubble wrap now," and here to that.
Now that's a mental image that I needed to cheer myself up. Is Dennis wrapped in bubble?
Banksy, where are you?
Yeah, we need to look after Tiny Taylor.
Oh God. Oh dear. But thank you for. It's not going to be a long chat tonight, but thank you to everybody that has joined us, and we have had, I think, 89 people tune in already, which is really really nice to see, and people paying their own tributes as well. We have had another comment from Kia Bats saying that they went to see the Black Ball anniversary show in Exmouth last week. Wow. It was amazing fun. JV was on great form. Trick shots, jokes, commentary. I can't believe he's gone. Wow, that was last week. I cannot believe that. Wow.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah. The sound of the bubbles popping as he sits down for his next stint. This has proven to be more difficult than I imagined.
But yeah, if he was still doing trick shots and making people laugh last week, then God, who knows? Who knows what's happened? You know what I mean? But
yeah,
that's
it's one of those things.
You can't speculate, especially with someone of that age and all these things. But it just shows he was still on top form, which is why it's so shocking for everyone, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. Niall Kane has joined saying, "Where's the cue ball going? Is there a gap? There's always a gap." And yeah, we'll miss those quips, but they will live on through this podcast. They'll live on through my naff commentary of snooker video games in the future. Absolutely. So, those quotes are going nowhere, but we'll never do them enough justice. But yeah, wow. I can't believe those shows are still going on, to be honest. But yeah.
I mean,
last week.
Have you? Why are you surprised that they're still milking something that
the 41st anniversary?
Yeah, of course they've been milking it for 40 years. They're not going to stop now, mate. They'll be doing the anniversary shows until it's the 50th anniversary if they could. I'm sure.
Yeah,
and rightly so.
And look at that, Chris Reed, and how fitting that his last match was 17 days ago. Of course, bit of a reference to the Crucible. Sort of marathon of 17 days, I suppose. There, so yeah, there was all this day was always going to come, and I guess what we have to be really thankful for is that he was on top form. It wasn't the same as like a Sid Waddell of darts. When he got really ill and sort of faded away commentary wise and came back for a couple of sort of special matches, but he wasn't the same as he was, and I guess we never had to see that with John Virgo. He went out at the top, and I'm sure that's what he would have wanted.
Yeah, that's always the thing, because I think when someone is, they still seem like they're in decent fitness and decent form, and then they pass away. Part of you is really shocked because you go, but they were fine this time last week. Like literally this time last week, they were doing trick shots, they were all right. Yeah. But then another side of that same coin is, at the very least, they didn't have a really long period where they were suffering at the end. They had just a really decent life, and they were still on top form. They still had their faculties about them, and I think most of us would be delighted to still retire at the top. That's or pass away at the top. Do you know what I mean? That's all we can hope for, really.
Yeah, absolutely. So, yeah. And I'm sure you'll be having a great old time up there with Alex Higgins and Willie Thorne, Clive Everton, and Ray Reardon, Terry Griffiths, all of the greats that have come and gone over the years. So yeah, I guess all that's left for us to say really is our hearts go out to John's actual friends and family, because if we're heartbroken, I can only imagine how they're feeling right now. So rest in peace to the great JV. Any final thoughts there, Tom?
I just think it's a lovely thought. And Banksy did send a message about the idea of, as you said, him up there in the snooker heaven in the sky, and he's commentating on all the greats, the Alex Higgins or the Fred Davis or all these players, and he's there commentating on them. And I like to believe that somewhere in the universe that's happening, and what a lovely thought that is.
Absolutely. And equally, Archie Smith got in contact with some Fanjing email saying, "Good night, JV. The cue ball has finally gone. Very sad day. Remarkable 2 weeks ago. Still did the Masters. Remarkable man. One of, if not the greatest snooker commentator. We'll miss him at the Worlds." And yeah, I think a really sort of nice way of putting it. And I guess it won't just be the Worlds that we miss him. We'll miss him forever. Sadly, snooker won't ever quite be the same. I think it's fair to say, but there is still going to be so much snooker to enjoy, and his memory will live on. Certainly through our podcast, and I'm sure the BBC will do it. And I really hope that WST do name a trophy after him. Might not be the UK Championships, but one of the other big tournaments that would be really fitting, I think. But yeah.
There we go. I guess all we can say is everyone look after yourself, because I think part of the reason we did this is because we think everyone in the snooker family is going to be feeling a bit crap right now, understandably. But we're all in this together. We've all got to look after each other. We've got to, stay safe and just focus on the fact we've had so many great years of JV. And, it could have been 5 less years if he'd been pushed into retirement by the BBC, or it could have been even more less years if anything could have happened. So you always
absolutely.
My friend Duncan did message saying, he it was a very decent break of 79 JV made, and you go, yeah, that's good innings really. So
and he won the UK Championship in 1979 as well. So I guess quite fitting.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, considering he's been working in snooker for 50 years, he deserves his break in wherever he is now in the universe, I think. So bless him, and love to his family, of course.
No, absolutely, and thank you very much, everybody, for joining. As we say, we will do a special episode celebrating all things John Virgo in the near future, in the run up to this year's World Championship. But yeah, we will be back with our normal podcasts in the next couple of weeks, reviewing the World Grand Prix and the most recent German Masters. But yeah, thank you very much for joining us and grieving together, I suppose, and sharing memories. And yeah, it's certainly a sore one, but yeah, onwards and upwards, and yeah, all the best to everybody out there. And all I guess that's left to say is good night, JV.
Good night, JV.